Good morning, Kal Kadosh. The Rambam, in the beginning of Yichot Berachot, writes some very fundamental words. He writes, Nimtzeu kol ha-berachot kulan shelosha minin. We see that there are three different categories of Yichot Berachot, three types of Berachot. Berachot ha'anaya, Berachot of pleasure, such as Borei Pi Ha'etz, Adama, Shaykol, Hamotzi, etc. Uberkot ha-mitzvot, the second category are Berachot we bless on specific mitzvot such as tefillin, tzitzit, shofar, lulav, etc. Uberkot ha'odah, and blessing of thanks. Shehen derech shevach. He writes a rule about all three of these berachot. We see that our sages instituted so many different berachot. A person has to bless 100 plus berachot daily. So the Rambam says, what's the reason for this? He explains beautifully. Kulan derech shevach ve'odah ubakasha. They're all in order to praise and thank Borei Olam, kedei lizkor et haborei tamid, so that we should constantly remember the Almighty God, ulira mimeno, and we should come to fear God. That means that when we say berachot, we shouldn't just throw the words out of our mouth. We should ponder, we should think a little bit about what we're saying and what the concept behind the mitzvah is. With that being said, I want to continue the halachot of Birkat HaLevana. The Gemara in Masechet Sanhedrin says, Amar Rav Acha bar Chanina, Amar Rav Asi, Amar Rabbi Yohanan. A person who blesses Birkat HaLevana in its proper time, it's as if he accepts the glory of God. The presence of God comes to him. How does he learn this? He has a source. He has a Gezerah Shavah. It says in regards to Birkat HaChodesh, it says in regards to the month of Nisan, HaChodesh Hazeh. The Torah refers to the month. The first of the month, HaChodesh Hazeh, this day, this month. V'ktiv hatam, and it says in Azeh Shir Moshe, Shirat Hayam, Zeh Eli ve'anveu. This is my God, and I shall beautify him. So Chazal teaches that it's Shirat Hayam, that every single person was zocheh for Gilui Shekhinah. So comes Rabbi Yochanan and says, oh, there's a Gezerah Shavah. If by Birkat HaLevana it says, HaChodesh Hazeh, and by Shirat Hayam it says, Zeh Eli ve'anveu. You cannot say Zeh, this, over the phone if a person doesn't know what you're referring to. It has to be something tangible, something you could see, something in front of you. So when the pasuk says HaChodesh Hazeh, it means that it's as if you're pointing. So what does it mean? Zeh, this is my God and I shall beautify him. Chazal learned from here that everyone in Yetziat Mitzrayim was zocheh legilui Shekhinah. So here too we see the same concept by Birkat HaLevana. So the question is why? What's so special about Birkat HaLevana that it's keilu zocher unkabel pnei shechina? Rabbi Yonah writes that when a person is mitbonen, he ponders, he thinks about the creation and the greatness of the creation of God. So a person realizes the greatness, how powerful Borei Olam is, how beautiful his creations are. Unfortunately, we're used to things that we see on a daily basis. One of the things that renew itself in the Beriah, in the creation of Hashem, is the moon. At the end of the month, it's not there, it comes back. So you re-recognize the greatness of God when you see it for the first time. So that concept is a beautiful thing, and that's called Gilui Shekhinah. You get to understand the greatness of Borei Olam. That's one pshat. The Maharsha brings in the name of Rivan, and one of the Rishonim, and he says, why is it that this brings Gilui Shekhinah? So he says, in the Beracha we bless, Ateret Tiferet La'amusei Baten. Hashem is the Tiferet, He's the glory and the crown of people who are afflicted and go through terrible tragedies throughout the diaspora and the galut and the many exiles we suffer. Shegam hem atidim nitchadesh kemota. Am Yisrael, we get our chizuk, we get strength from the moon. Just like the moon at the end of the month was dark, it wasn't there, and it renews itself. Same too, Borei Olam renews it. Same too, Am Yisrael, throughout the diaspora and the galuyot that we struggle and we face and we're afflicted by. We have to know that one day, soon, Be'ezrat Hashem will be zocheh for Gilui Shekhinah, the arrival of Mashiach. So that's two ideas of the power of Birkat HaLevana. One halakha, and I'll conclude with this. The Gemara derives from here. Says the Gemara, Tana Dever Rabbi Ishmael. We say this at the end of Birkat HaLevana. There's a braita in the name of Rabbi Ishmael. Ilmale zachu bnei Yisrael agbil pnei avim shebashamayim pa'am echad b'chodesh dayam. If Am Yisrael were zocheh just once a month to greet their Father in heaven, that would be enough. Meaning, Chazal are calling this mamash Kabbalat Penei Shekhinah. Dayam. Amar Abaye. Abaye says, okay, if that's the case, Hi lekach, Nimrinu me'omed. I have to stand up. If I'm going to greet such an amazing guest, I'm coming to greet Borei Olam, I have to stand up. And the Gemara brings here about Merimar and Mozutra, that they were old and they couldn't stand. But what would they do? Have a mikatvia hadadi. In order to try and stand, they were very old, it was very difficult for them to even stand up. They used to grab each other and say, oh, let's stand, we have to do Birkat HaLevana. Look at how much respect and how much these Chachamim paid to the Birkat HaLevana. So we shouldn't treat it lightly. We should be zocher to bless every month Birkat HaLevana properly. Chazak Baruch.